These women came from the most remote areas of the Go region in west-central Cote d'Ivoire. They suffered, but from their faces, one can see that they are all driven by the same hope, the hope of recovering and curing from obstetric fistula, the disease that overwhelms them physically, morally, and socially. The disease troubled their whole life.
I have been living with this disease for 24 years.
And they are hoping together. Many of them came here to the regional hospital center of Gagnoa, the capital of the region, to undergo the saving operation, to heal, as they all say, and find their place in the society. The United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, whose mission is also to assist governments around the world to access reproductive health care by better informing young people, adolescents, and women, also launched in 2003 a global campaign against fistula. UNFPA has been working with the Ivorian government in the fight against obstetric fistula since 2008. But following the crisis that immobilized the country for 10 years, it was necessary, among other actions of reconstruction, to train more of the healthcare specialists, the midwives in particular, the obstetricians, and the gynecologists, to face the lack of access to health services and also cultural factors leading to early marriage of girls. Cote d'Ivoire today has about 140,000 women suffering from fistula. Faced with this heavy burden, a tripartite project formed by the government, UNFPA, and the Korean cooperation, Cote, provides training for doctors and obstetric fistula operations. Thus, more than 2,000 women were treated.
Women often don't go to the services even when they know, because first of all, they must get even on a bus, and other people will shun them because of the smells.
In 2012, Korea joined the fight with a very significant financial contribution that not only helped train health workers and operated women with fistula, but also rehabilitated health facilities, built treatment and operation rooms, as well as rooms for women waiting to be operated on or hospitalized after operation for medical surveillance.
Cote has joined on a tripartite initiative with the government of Cote d'Ivoire and UNFPA since 2012. They joined an initiative that was already there since 2007 between UNFPA and the government of Cote d'Ivoire. They found, and they answered to our appeal for support, for financial support, and since then they've provided in excess of, during the first phase, I think about 4 or 5 million, and now in the second phase that is ending in June of 2019, the Korean government, through its development agency, Cote, have developed more than $6 million to support this project. The second phase was able now to focus on operations and repair of these victims. The success rate is about 80%. And that's important to know, that not all victims will be successfully operated.
This project has put great emphasis on community awareness and behavioral change.
Awareness is very important. Here, the tripartite project UNFPA, Cote, Ministry of Health uses the service of the non-government organization APROSAM.
With this fistula awareness campaign, we have identified women with fistula through our community health workers who have been trained to do so. These agents visit households and villages to identify women suffering from fistula. After identification, we refer the patients to the regional hospital and to the general hospital of Gagnoa.
Many women with fistula are living in remote areas and do not have even access to information. So today, we find fistulas that have existed for years, more than 20 years even. In 2018, there were women we recruited here in Gagnoa who live in the city but who are not informed.
Well sensitized, Therese has taken the steps.
I came to heal and to undergo the operation. If after the operation I am cured, I will launch a business to take care of my children and my parents.
Like Therese, all these women waiting to be operated here at the hospital of Gagnoa are encouraged by the availability of doctors and the comforting presence of loved ones.
My wish is that she heals completely and be happy again in the family. That's my wish.
Dr. Kwame Bile of UNFPA Cote d'Ivoire arrives at the operating theater. Therese, already prepared, is on the operating table. The medical team is busy around her. Three kilometers away on the banks of this beautiful lake in the village of Nyahio lives quietly Akbadou Estelle, the very example of Oheli's wish for her mother. Estelle, a former fistula patient who has had difficulty living with the disease, was rejected by her husband, her neighbors, and her village.
She urinated on herself. When people realized it, she started to be isolated. Because you know the way people are. She felt embarrassed about herself. And there was a moment when she was gone. We did not know where she went, but she came back, and people started to notice a change in her life. And then, little by little, she started a small income-generating activity, making and selling small cakes. I buy my morning cakes from her every day.
Moi-même, c'est avec elle que je paye mes galettes tous les matins. Réellement, elle a souffert.
She really suffered. She was abandoned and left to herself. And I can even say she was triply an orphan. So it is a real joy when you see her doing a little activity that helps her make a living. It is a priceless joy for a woman who was abandoned and who proudly returns today among her people and runs a small business. It's a real grace.
Her life was a nightmare. Today, she is completely reintegrated. Akbadou Estelle, who was operated and cured of fistula, has developed her small business of cakes. The Ivorian government has taken the issue of obstetric fistula so well. It is because the battle against obstetric fistula is not new to the Ivorian fistula experts.
In Cote d'Ivoire, it all started in the 70s when Professor Arma Pierre Luguyader, head of the anatomy laboratory at the Faculty of Medicine, assisted by Professor Jean-Baptiste, stood to engage Cote d'Ivoire in this fight with the necessary weapons. The main weapon was the launching of an anatomy laboratory at the Medical School of Abidjan.
Today, the management of obstetric fistula has taken a dynamic and holistic form.
This caravan is a mission with several specialists. With the contribution of our professors of medicine, we managed somehow to overcome each of the fistulas. Except that, of course, the more complicated the fistula, the longer the procedure.
Even today, more than yesterday, Cote d'Ivoire has placed women's health at the heart of its national development plan. The government has decided to favor the proximity of health centers to the fight against obstetric fistula. With this caravan, and with all the others organized in the campaign against fistula in Cote d'Ivoire, fistula patients are followed from their identification to the repair of their fistula.
Le CHR de Gagnoa a reçu un équipement de l'UNFPA.
In 2014, the regional hospital of Gagnoa received from UNFPA some equipment that we have been using since the first caravan. That was 8 years ago. Yes, the equipment is very useful, but overused because it also serves in C-sections. With the high rate of C-sections in this area, we would like to see this equipment renewed or strengthened.
Dr. Billet insists on the importance of the accompaniment of the operated women.
But you have a period when this woman is being released, healed, and returned to society. At that moment, it is necessary to accompany her properly. It is not a question of closing the hole or saying that she is now cured and declare victory. No. Fistula has an especially sociological note. It is a disease that certainly does not kill, since the patient does not die immediately. But she is a living dead in the society. The fistula was repaired, but now comes the delicate part, the moment to accompany the cured patient in a social and economic reintegration.
This is why the current program helps in developing income-generating activities. So cured fistula patients can take care of themselves. By making these women active again in society, they can take care of themselves and regain their freedom and their dignity as women.
We try to encourage them, to cheer them up, and a few months later, we put them on training sessions in income-generating activities in order to enable them to start a small business. During the training, these different women identify a micro-project, and later, this micro-project is funded. After the operation, when the micro-project is funded, we follow the reinsertion of these women in the community through income-generating activities.
We will continue to support income-generating activities and all other social reintegration activities.
In its national development program, the Ivorian government has set up schools and university health centers for young people. The government also proclaimed free contraceptives for young people and adolescents, free antenatal care, and free deliveries and cesarean section. The government also focused on strengthening the capacity of health service agents.
Il s'agit fondamentalement de permettre It is fundamentally about making health care accessible to every inhabitant of this country and at the same time reduce mortality. So the government is engaged in an ambitious program to raise the level of health care in Cote d'Ivoire. We know that the important investment we are making in health areas will impact the development and solve problems in the country as a whole. This country wants to go into emergence by 2020.
Emergence makes sense for Estelle. She is well prepared and ready to fully play her role as a healthy woman who develops an activity that has made her economically independent. The populations of Nyahio, who rejected her not long ago because of her condition, are scrambling today to buy her cakes, which are sold quickly.
I am now comfortable in the village because no one insults me anymore, and everything is fine. My cake business works very well, and I am very happy.
This satisfactory result with Estelle was also achieved by the strong mobilization for women's awareness. More and more, they are no longer hiding.
On the one hand, we work with NGOs. On the other hand, we try to work directly with the community. For instance, we have what we call husband schools and future husband schools, because at the community level, it's the men who have the decision power oftentimes, because it's linked to the economic power, but also to the traditions and cultural beliefs and norms of the community. It's not bad or good, it's just a norm culturally. And in order to get to those who are most vulnerable, we realized in doing our mapping of the indicators that the northeastern region is most left behind, the area of Gunduku, which covers Buna, Bunduku, and others. So UNFPA is going to move up, starting January, a full office there, a satellite office, so that we are closer to those who are left most behind.
Head on Diegonefla, 40 kilometers away. Here we fall right on a party. The members of the Village Women's Association celebrating the successful operation and cure of the fistula of their friend Yao Epi Roselyn. Roselyn, who danced with joy and gratitude, is holding up her business of selling smoked fish. Her clients, including her friends, jostle around her stall.
The Korean embassy, along with Cote, will be more involved in the project.
Unlike Estelle, Roselyn did not see her suffering worsen by the abandonment of her spouse. Indeed, Rodrigue, her husband, has always supported her while caring for the children.
I stayed with her because she's the mother of my children, after all. When we got married, she did not have that. It is not while she's sick that I'm going to leave her. So I stayed with her. I supported her during the care. I did everything I had to do for her, and we are always together. I cannot leave her. It is not normal.
My husband did not leave me. He supported me. He gave me the courage to live because at the beginning I was desperate. I did not know the disease could be treated. He supported me a lot.
We try to engage men more, and we have noticed that when males are engaged and aware of the issues that are around women's health, that they tend to support their women in terms of providing funds for them for transportation, and even encouraging them, or even sometimes accompanying them to the health center to seek services. We have had cases where men were traveling to a different country seeking traditional healers, but once they have learned through UNFPA that this was not a spiritual malaise or a curse, then they fully understand and bring the women to the health post.
We really thank UNFPA for helping and supporting her. Today, we can raise our heads. We will find other women suffering from fistula and tell them that there is hope, that nothing is lost, and that there are people that can help them. So my message to women suffering from fistula is the following. Do not be ashamed of what you have. There are people who can help you.
Today, I am very happy, and I thank UNFPA for helping make my wife healthy again. The operation was a total success. I can only rejoice and pray God to bless these people for their good deeds. Let me tell you, these people will continue to save other women who are in need and who are suffering.
It's okay. Those who are running away from me because I smelled bad are the same people who come buy from me. So today, I am comfortable. In any case, I am happy with my new life, my fish business works well, I feel good, and I thank UNFPA for helping me. I say, thank you very much. Currently, I'm definitely cured, and I feel very good.
To live again, to find happiness, to find one's place in society, to play one's role in the development of the community or even the country, is the desire of these women who suffer from obstetric fistula. The Ivorian government, the Korean cooperation, and UNFPA know it. Indeed,
there is no other person than the sufferer or the victim of fistula to symbolize the one who is left behind. And the SDGs call on everyone to leave no one behind.